Okay, Boker Tov, we're on Lama Zayin with Beis, and today's sugi is Birchas Kohanim. How does Birchas Kohanim come in? Because the Mishnah said the list of things that have to be dafka in Hebrew, one of them was Birchas Kohanim. So now we're going to get the sugi in Birchas Kohanim. That we do. Course of our course, Bnei Yisrael, Lamar Lahem. Here was offered to do it every day, and that's the way that's the mitzvah. And the fact that they don't do it in Chutz La'aretz is really why? Why don't they do it every day like they do it over here? And the reason is very interesting because they're not happy in Chutz La'aretz. We have to tell them they're not supposed to be that. Not they're not supposed to be happy. They're not happy, and they're supposed to do it b'simcha. So that the minhag came, and it's not a simple minhag. The minhag not to do in Chutz La'aretz is really a wonder.
Right. Why did the Rebbe wanted to start it in Boston, and all the Rebbeim told him don't do it.
Don't do it. They say the Gruat tried, and it wasn't successful.
Oh.
He tried also, it wasn't successful. But it's not understood why not. And because the reason at the time was maybe it's even also a kasha, but at the head all kinds of pogroms and terrible. So they weren't able to do it b'simcha b'ahava. But that's not a reason. Sfardim do it, and I know Rabbanim, certain Rabbanim, when they go to visit Chutz La'aretz, they go to the Sfardim schools in order to do Birchas Kohanim.
Right. When I read that Reb Steinman did it, I went to visit my mother many years
So you
ago.
also went to the Sfardim. Steinberg used to do that. Steinberg used to daven by the Sfardim also. Okay, that's a side point. But Baruch Hashem, we're in Eretz Yisrael, and we have this chus of doing Birchas Kohanim every day. And this is the sugi where it talks about Birchas Kohanim. There's no Masechta where it talks about Birchas Kohanim. This is where it is because it comes in because it says in the Mishnah that's one of those things that has to be daf Lashon HaKodesh. They can't say it in a translated language, daf in Hebrew. So here, because of that, we get into the whole sugi of Birchas Kohanim. Birchas Kohanim Ketzad. Ketzad doesn't mean where do you know that it's supposed to be in Lashon HaKodesh. It means what? Tell me about the halachas of Birchas Kohanim. What are the halachas of Birchas Kohanim? So first it says the Medina. Now there's going to be a difference between the Beis HaMikdash when they said Birchas Kohanim in the Beis HaMikdash and when they said it out of the Beis HaMikdash. The Medina Omer also showed
Very interesting that it goes off on a tangent. Why is it necessary to speak it? I would speak in brachas or something like that.
There's going to be a big many subjects over here that come in because of this Mishnah, like La Rufa, Meshulach Malchama, comes out a long list of different subjects. So the first one is about Birchas Kohanim. The Medina Omer also shalosh brachas of a mikdash bracha achas. So out of the Beis HaMikdash, so you do it as three blessings, which is the three psukim. Yivrachach Hashem v'yishmerecha, number one. Second one, Yirah Hashem panav v'lecha b'yichoneka. The third one, and it's divided each time the tzibur says Amen. So it's considered three different brachas. In the Mikdash, there's no interruption, and they say it continuous.
Oh yeah.
Without any stop. No, we'll see in the Gemara later on. There's no amens at all. At the end of everything they say Baruch Shem, but there's no. They don't divide it by amens. So we'll see more on the sugya here. It just says that out of the Beis HaMikdash they said it in three units, which means that the tzibur answers amen after each one, and the Beis HaMikdash they didn't stop in between. It was continuous one blessing. They did, but they said it only at the end of all three blessings. After Yasem L'cha Shalom, after the end, that's when they said it. They didn't interrupt in between. Yivrach Hashem v'yishmerecha. They didn't say over there Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus. So they said it only at the end of all three.
And no amens.
There's that. I think we'll talk about all that. The next one, Mikdash Omer Es Hashem Kichsavo, of a Medina Kibikinu Yod. Kichsavo means the way that's written is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and we don't know how to pronounce it. But even if we would, we don't say it like that. We say it as if it would be written Aleph Daled and Nun Yud Avni. And that's only B'Medina. B'Medina B'Kinu Yo. The Kinu is like not the real name. Kichsavo is the way that we write it, and B'Medina we say it the way that we read it. So in the Beis HaMikdash they will say Birchas Kohanim with Hashem HaMeforish. The next one, B'Medina Kohanim Nosim Esedein Keneged Kisfein over Mikdash Al Gabi Roshein. And outside the Beis HaMikdash, and then the Kohanim when they do Birchas Kohanim they raise their hands to the height of their shoulders. And in the Beis HaMikdash, they did it even higher, above their heads. Rashi says the reason is because in the Beis HaMikdash, the Shekhinah resides on their hands, and therefore the Shekhinah should be higher than their heads. Now the Mikdash, the Shekhinah is not there. It's not called that the Shekhinah is there on their hands, and therefore they still should raise their hands but not higher, not above their head. Why should they raise their hands at all? I don't know. Why it says? Oh, it says because it says by Yisod. It's going to be a pasuk to say that you have to raise your hands. That's nothing to do with raising their hands.
Why not?
Why does it say Yisrael Shem Panav has to do with raising your hands? Doesn't say it. Yisrael Shem Panav. This is so. There's going to be a pasuk later on. This by Yisrael Ron Es Yado. that it says when Aaron blessed the people, it says, he raised his hands. So from there you learn now they're supposed to raise your hands. But now it's saying, but raising hands means till your shoulders, not higher. But in the base of English, it has to be even higher because Rashi says because the Shekhinah is above their hands, and therefore they raise their hands above their heads. Well, maybe we'll see more as we go along, but that's what Rashi says so far. And
the reason they take what
no, it doesn't say that they have to.
Maybe it's more comfortable this way, and the fingers most comfortable.
We'll see what I'm in Hagim and what's custom, what halacha. It doesn't even say about spreading their fingers yet. It doesn't say, and we didn't see yet the such thing as spreading their fingers. So we'll see what's considered customs or not. But so far it doesn't say. It just says they raise their hands. How high? Opposite to the height of their shoulders. And the base of Mikdash would have even been higher above their heads. What?
Did I say Kaminagenu?
If the Kohanim do it right. Some Kohanim, yeah, but some Kohanim cannot. Some people, a Kohanim is very hard to keep it up so high. And sometimes you find them they're doing it a bit lower. Some Kohanim do it lower. Not supposed to be lower. It's supposed to be connected to the shoulders. Okay. Puts me Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol, even the base of Mikdash, he didn't raise his hand above his head. Because since he's wearing the tzitz and it says on Kodesh Lashem on his forehead, so shouldn't put his hands above the tzitz. Even though Rashi says the reason is because the Shekhinah is on his hands and he's raising the Shekhinah above his head, but the tzitz, you don't put hands above the tzitz. Kodesh Lashem, even though the point is the Shekhinah over here, the Shekhinah is not to be above the name of Hashem, but his hands still, his hands are the base, so it shouldn't put his hands above the tzitz. Yehuda says no. He argues with that exception, and he says the Kohen Gadol also should raise his hands above his head in the base of Mikdash. And I don't know what you see from the pasuk. The pasuk says Aaron raised his hands.
He was probably wearing the tzitz at the time.
Yes. How do you know what raising hands means? He was saying that's also called raising the hands. That's what I said before. That to do it till the shoulders is also called raising his hands. How do you know it's raise his hands so much above his head? So I don't know. This is the only source of the whole thing about the Siyas Kapayim. The whole source where it says anything about raising the hand is only over here. In the regular pasuk that we know by Daber Hashem, by Daber Aaron, Belbanov, Kos Bachos Bnei Yisrael, Amal Lahem, somewhere Shmiel Bnei Yisrael doesn't say anything about raising hands. It just says bless Am Yisrael. And the Gemara is going to learn from this pasuk that it was with raising the hands, and that's called even connected Kisvein, even opposite their shoulders is called also raising their hands. So I don't understand how Rav Yehuda sees in this pasuk that he's supposed to raise his hands even above, even in the base of Mikdash. So I don't know. Unless I just thought of it now. Maybe the Shenema is not going. Rav Yehuda is not talking. This is the whole thing. Shenema is going on the whole Mishnah about raising his hands. It's all done out of here. And the Chok is without telling us the reason. How come the Kohen Gadol? I don't know, but I didn't see a shot. Well, how do you see in this pasuk that he should argue and say that even in the base of Mikdash he should raise his hands above his head? So that's the Mishnah so far about Birchas Kohanim. And what do we have? A few issues. One is that it should be the Lashon Kodesh. That's really the Mishnah says it's Lashon Kodesh. Then it spoke about how you divide it into three or one big unit. Depends if it's in the base of Mikdash or not. Another difference is if you say Hashem's name, Shem HaMeforesh, or not the real name, and that's also the difference between Mikdash and Medina. And the third one is about the height of the hands. Is it connected Kisvayan or is it even higher? And the Kohen Gadol, is he an exception or not?
Well, Al-Gabi Rosheim means well.
Above their heads.
Number one.
That's the hands.
Except for the Kohen Gadol.
And that's a machlokes. Tanna Kama says Kohen Gadol will not raise his hands above the
That
sits.
high, meaning
Right. He'll do regular, like his shoulders. It shouldn't be above the
so the
sits.
sits,
Yeah, which is okay. That's more or less
the
connected to
sits is
saying.
above the shoulders,
Okay, that bit.
but not above the head.
Right. I think there probably would be no difference if it'll be those 2 inches or so. That wouldn't be significant. Rita says that the Kohen Gadol also raises his hands above his heads in the Beis Hamikdash. So all 3 points of the mission
I
says.
didn't use the word roach then. Why does it say
Yes, he says up, the same as anybody else. He says puts me Kohen Gadol. He says up Kohen Gadol.
Let's go learn to your second shot. So now we learned that the Kohanim are required to raise their hands.
So we'll put this. According to that, we'll put all this into parentheses. And there'll be the Mishnah. The whole point about raising their hands is going to be Shenema, both on the Medina and in the Mikdash. Whatever you raise your hand, that's already details. But the whole point of raising the hands is only from the pasuk Shenema. And then between us, it was a machlokes if the Kohen Gadol raises his hands above his head or not. So 3 points in the Mishnah. One is about, is it 3 units or 1 unit? Is it with Hashem HaMeforesh or not? and is it above their heads or just till the shoulders? They all depend on the base of mikdash or not. And one machlokes was if the Kohen Gadol raises his hands above his head or not. Tanakama says no, it can't go above the tzitz. Rabbi says it could. Thank you. Tanu Rabbanan. Now we're gonna have a lot of drushes about Birchas Kohanim. The first point is going to be about Lashon HaKodesh. Tanu Rabbanan. Kosev Baruch Hu. Lashon HaKodesh. It says, this is the way you should bless. Kosev Baruch Hu, bless like this. And then it says, Yirach Hashem Yishmerach. It says in Hebrew in the Torah. So Kosev Baruch Hu says you have to do it dafka that way. Atoma B'Lashon HaKodesh Ena Ela B'Chalashon. Is it dafka B'Lashon HaKodesh? Maybe not. Well, how do you know? In other words, how do you know? Namakan Kosev Baruch Hu. B'Namar Halan Eli Yamdu Levarech Hasam. Ma'ala Halan B'Lashon HaKodesh. I've come B'Lashon HaKodesh. I made a mistake. I explained Kosev Baruch Hu because so that it doesn't say that. The Brisa first says different Russia. The Brisa says that it's because of Exer Shava to have Yizim and Harevo. By the Birchas Kohanim, it says over there, Eli Amdu Levarech. The point's going to be from the word Levarech, that it says to bless. And here it says Kosev Baruch Hu, blessing. So it's Exer Shava link from the Birchas Kohanim to over there by the correct reason where they blessed. And over there we know that has to be Lashon HaKodesh. And we didn't have a Mishnah that told us how do you know that has to be Lashon HaKodesh. And what was the drush over there? How do we know about Levim themselves? Forgot. How do we know about Levim by the hard reason it has to be in Lashon HaKodesh? We had a couple of days ago. How do you see from there?
Because we had the Gzer Shabbos on the Niyash. I think we had a machlokas from Har Sinai.
Well, being Rambam, Kol Ish Israel, just like over there, Lashon HaKodesh, Leviim Gufayim and Olam, Kol Mimoshe. That by Moshe was Lashon HaKodesh. So that was the machlok stock over there. How do you know the Leviim? So according to our Mishnah, the ones that say you learn out from Hagrizim, say that they learn out Gzer Shava Kol from Moshe. By Moshe it says Hashem Yanenu B'Kol, and here it says Kol. Okay, that the more he doesn't go into those details. That's very prehistoric, so to say. That's very behind the scenes. That by Leviim for sure was Lashon HaKodesh, and here's Gzer Shava Levorech to say that Birchas Kohanim is also going to be the Lashon HaKodesh. But Rabbi Yehuda says simpler, so to speak. Rabbi Yehuda Am Omer Ein Etzorah. So what's the Rabbi Yehuda's drasha? Because it says Kol. So we had machlokes now. How do you learn the source that Birchas Kohanim has to be B'Lashon HaKodesh? Either because it's Gzer Shava for the Leviim B'Hag Rizim, or because there's the word Kol. Kol alone means the way I tell you. So everyone agrees to the law. The question is only where you know it from. Tanya Idach, another halacha. Now we know Lashon HaKodesh. We're finished with that, and that's what our Mishnah spoke about really, and that's where we came into the whole sugya. And now there's another halacha that you have to do it standing. That the Kohanim have to stand. Atoma Bamida and Ella Bafila Yeshiva, that the Kohanim sit. Now I can't close the vocal, and then also Gzer Shava. Here it says the same Gzer Shava as before. That here it says that you should bless Kosev Baruch, and here it says Leviim Eliamdu Levarech, and on Hag reason they were going to stand. Over there it says that they should stand. So too Eliamdu Yamdu Levarech. So you learn out Gzer Shava that by the Kohanim also they have to stand. So interesting, that whole point over here is the Kohanim standing. The Kohanim have to stand by Birchas Kohanim. They can't do Birchas Kohanim sitting. How about the Tzibor? Does the Tzibor have to stand? What?
I've never seen anybody say.
So that's what the Mishnah says, that the minute gets to stand. But I don't have to. And the Din of the Gemara doesn't say such thing, the Tzibor has to stand, and the Magen Avraham.
Surely old people or frail people, yes.
How about if the Kohen is a frail and old person?
No.
They say that's what it seems to say, that the Kohen has to stand. They talk about if he can't, but the Pashas the Gemara says Dafka Kohen has to stand. The Magen Avraham says Dafka the Kohen has the people, and he says that maybe the Zohar says like that the people sit. But the custom is, the Mishnah says the custom is to stand. And it's interesting because the Magen Avraham doesn't say that's the custom. The Berahita brings down, doesn't. It seems to be the Mishnah Berurah that the custom is to stand. He brings them Iri. I didn't find them Iri. I didn't find where the Mishnah was coming from really, but he says the custom is to stand. But if you can't stand, then surely you got to sit. There's no halacha about standing for the people. It's only the
next
Kohen.
he was gonna get make you stand up.
No.
That's not true. You do see that people are like, especially with children, the father tells the children to stand up.
I don't know, maybe it comes from Kosovo, since
mean-
Mine was just a few times.
I mean, the
Sometimes when
Still
somebody
okay.
is sitting, it could be they're not concentrating or they're not thinking about it.
They didn't-
I mean,
okay, the Bechas Kohen.
It's happening.
Okay, the Bechas Kohen.
The Sanigoria, that's the kind is standing to the blessing. Surely I shouldn't reciprocate and stand to express.
Maybe. He says the Zohar, I think he says the Zohar is mashma that the people said.
But I understand the Gemara. I understand more to stand because if someone's giving you bracha, then
So
you
the
have to
cover.
be covered, no?
Okay.
Rebbe, so we're talking about kadosh and shaks, you're supposed to stand?
I don't recall. I mean, I know the custom of the midday says the stand, but I don't, sounds, I don't. So how do you know that you have to stand, the Kohanim have to stand? So we said so far, one drush was because of Gzer Shava, Kos Vorchu, the Vorech. Rav Nosson Omer, Eino Tzarech. You don't need that drush of Gzer Shava. There's another source to say that the Kohanim should stand. Harei Omer, L'shos So, L'vorech B'shmo, to serve him and to bless with his name. It talks about the Kohanim, and it says that the Kohanim serve him and bless his name. So that is comparing one to the other. Ma'am Mishores Ba'amida. You don't need to have a Gzer Shava of Tevorchu to agree when I'm able that is standing. Another source, because it says to serve him and to bless with his name. So they're similar. Ma'am Mishores Ba'amida. That's a given. The one will say in a second why I know that given. That's a given that when you serve, when they do abode in the Beis Hamikdash, Shchita, Zrika, whatever abode that they do, they have to be standing. So too, blessing, when the coin of bless also it has to be standing. How do you know? You can put that in parentheses maybe. How do you know that when you serve in the Beis Hamikdash, it has to be standing? There's another passage that says, when you serve, you stand. So that's how we know that when you serve, you're supposed to stand. And now it says in the pasuk that serving and blessing goes together. So blessing also has to be standing. So again, everybody agrees that the Kohanim have to stand. The question is what the source is. Is it Gzer Shava Terovim and Hagriza, or is it because the pasuk says that it's similar to other services that they do in the Beis Hamikdash? Next halacha. Tan Yida, Kosav Orchu, V'Nesiyas Kapayim. Different color. Get the right color over here. Kosav Orchu, V'Nesiyas Kapayim. That the Kohanim are supposed to raise their hands, which says in the Mishnah. The Mishnah said details already if it's still the shoulders above their head, but they're supposed to raise their hands. How do you know the Kohanim has to raise their hands? Interesting. We call it the whole time Nesiyas Kapayim. Where does it say that? Does it have to be that they're raising their hands? Maybe they don't have to raise their hands. They should just say, hands down. So also it's going to be a Gzer Shava. Here it says to bless, Kosav Orchu, and there it says when Aaron blessed, it says that he raised his hands. So the same way Aaron raised his hands when he said the bracha, over there happened to be Birchas Kohanim also. So all the Kohanim have to always do Birchas Kohanim with raised hands. What's the idea of raising the hands? Anybody have an idea? We look at it a little bit, I think, that when
it
you
was Kabbalistic in nature, and the Shekhinah came between their fingers and went out to the people.
but that would that be a reason to raise their hands? Because the Shekhinah should
They did this thing, like
yeah, that right. That it doesn't say. That part it doesn't say yet about separating their fingers and things like that. That it doesn't say so far. Just raising their hand, and it could be like you're saying that the point is because the Shekhinah is going to be on their hands, so that's the reason why should they raise their hands. But the Mishnah said before that the Shekhinah is only in the Beis Hamikdash. That's why he said the difference between putting it above their heads. If the Shekhinah would be there, they would put their hands even higher. They would put their hands above their heads. But even out of the Beis Hamikdash, where it seems the Shekhinah is not there, still they're supposed to raise their hands, and that doesn't say a reason for. I think that
your son.
right, you put your hands, but you're not putting your hands on his head. They're standing in front on the platform, and so maybe they're like projecting. I can't get to your head, but that kind of thing. But that's an idea. I don't know the real reason.
But in general, Yadayim Shel Ben Adam Askani Yoter. In general,
Therefore,
Therefore, here is a sanctified moment in sanctification of the blessing of Am Yisrael.
So what does he
of
do?
Israel. That should be different to every mundane action.
So what does he do? He raises his hands.
I mean, I would say I prefer the straight out person. That's the closest you will get it. When you're above, then that's above him. When you're below, it's below him. But when you're straight, you add him in.
You're projecting your blessing towards
Yeah,
him.
he's as
It's
close
nothing
as,
to do with Askanios. You're not saying that you're projecting your blessing towards him. As if you're saying,
not above him, it's
how
not
about,
below.
if someone, is this called the CS Kapayim? Is this called the CS Kapayim?
That's it. Don't bother me.
I don't know. It just has to raise his hand. Let's tell it.
If you go to the kotel and you watch
How
how the
That's
notes
what
how the nut-
I think some Kohen will do like that. Let's raise their hands. I don't know. He used to do like this.
So he did it above his head,
Uh-huh.
because he was in Yerushalayim.
But I don't know if the point is to face the people like as if to project the blessing towards them. Or it means to raise, it says to raise his hands. I don't know. Raising his hands, it's also raising his hands. I'm just saying I don't know. And you do see Kohanim who just do like that. Maybe more in the Sephardic community. They raise their hands. So I don't know. I really don't know. So here is how do you know that it's raised hands? Because it's Zerushav, the link by Aaron, it says, but he blessed. This is the case of Shmini and Miluim. This pasuk is talking about Parsha Shmini over there when the Shekhinah came to the Mishkan for the first time. It says Aaron blessed the people. It says he raised his hands. So whenever there's a Birchas Kohanim, it's always raising the hands. So it's middle of a brisa really. Tosha says this is not the regulated brisa talks. This is not the terminology. That's a Gemara talk. It's not a brisa talk. If you know the Tosha says that in the text it doesn't say that. Says that it's not a good drasha. And our Gemara says but and that's not the text of the brisa. You have to paraphrase it. But the brisa is continuing. It's not a good source to learn out from Aaron over there. There's a special occasion. It was first of all it only the Kohen Gadol. Maybe you can't learn out to other Kohanim. And also it was Rosh Chodesh. Happened to be the 8th of the Miluim was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So maybe Dafkan Rosh Chodesh, a special day. And also Avodah Sibur. It wasn't his own private Avodah that he was doing. It was Avodah Sibur. That's something for the whole community. That was the he was doing on behalf of everybody. That was the Shmini Miluim. So maybe only in such a case, when you have these special, unique people or times or circumstances, is when you need to do Nesias Kapayim. Otherwise, you can bless without raising the hands. So it's not. He doesn't think that that's a good source. But then the Gemara brings the Mishnah brings the Brisa brings another source. You don't need the drasha that you said. There's another drasha. That's going to be another drasha now. He and his sons for all the days. Over there, it's talking about not about Nesias Kapayim. It's talking about in general l'shareis. Nakish ban of lo ma'hu b'Nesias Kapayim. Ban of b'Nesias Kapayim. The Iskish Bracha L'Shevish. You need a couple of links over here that does talk about him and his sons are the same, and it says Kol Hayamim, which means there's no distinction. So not Dafka the Kohen Gadol, it says the children also, and not Dafka on a certain occasion or a certain day because it says Kol Hayamim, so it's constant. And over there it says Iskish Bracha L'Shevish. So you have to make again. The pasuk over there says Lamod L'Shareis. Who of Kol Hayamim. The pasuk is talking about Sheirut. So it says that the Kohen and his children are equal for all times in a certain thing called Sheirus, about service. And now you have the other pasuk before that says that Bracha and Sheirus goes together. So we can say that the Brachas Kohanim also is supposed to be the same as the Kohen Gadol at all times. Since we find one time the Kohen Gadol was with the Nesias Kapayim, you have to raise his hands. So we're going to learn out that all times, whenever the Kohanim give a Bracha, it has to be raised hands. And that's what we paskin. So far, nobody argued about the points. Only was each arguing what the source of the drush is. But if you agree, everyone agrees to these three points. So far, what were they? One was that it's Lashon Kodesh. Second one was that it's standing, and the third one was that it's Nesias Kapayim. That's a point of interest, a small thing that the term Nesias Kapayim is very interesting because the word it never says Nesias Kapayim by Birchas Kohanim. The only drush we brought was by Yisas Yadav. He raised his hands, and the word Kapayim is like the palms. That's the term. Another term for the hands. It is interesting how Chazal coined the phrase to be Nesias Kapayim, and it doesn't even say that. It called it Nesias Yadayim. Why is it called Nesias Kapayim? So just a point of interest. I don't know why It's referred to as the Siyas Kapayim. And just to point out, the only place where it says about raising the hands is this one pasuk by Shmini Lu'lu. On the 8th day of the Miluim in Parsha Shmini, that's where it says Aaron raised his hands. And the drasha says to burn out to all Kohanim at all times. Tani Idach, the next halacha, a new halacha, which also the Mishnah said, and now it's going to bring the source for that also. Tani Idach, Kos V'Chas B'nai Yisrael, B'Shem HaMeforash, that the Kohanim is supposed to say the exact name of Hashem, the explicit name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, they know how to pronounce it, and it's going to bring a drasha that also. How do you know? Maybe any name of Hashem, Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, maybe it doesn't have to be Dafka Yud Kei Vav Kei. Somewhere Shmi Amiyuchadli. Since it says at the end of Berachas Kohanim, it says Kosev Oracle say the following: if Berechacha Yair Yisa, and then it says somewhere Shmi Al Bnei Yisrael B'Ani Avrahom, place my name upon them, on Bnei Yisrael, and I will bless them. So somewhere Shmi means Shmi Amiyuchadli. My name means the name which is designated for me. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. So that's what the Kohanim would say. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Berechacha Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yisa. Yoyer Hashem says 3 times. It says Hashem's name. So each one of the 3 times B'Shem HaMeforash. Yochol Af B'Gvulin came. Maybe even out of the Beis Hamikdash also. There's a mitzvah to do Birchas Kohanim out of the Beis Hamikdash also. Maybe over there also you do Shem HaMeforash. Nemar Khan B'Samwa Shmi V'Nemar Halam Lasuma Shemo Sham. There's another pasuk where it talks about placing Hashem's name, and over there it says the word Sham. Make that highlighted. That's the pasuk over here that we're going to use. Somewhere Shemi. That's going to be the pasuk. And then here it says another pasuk where it says Lasuma Shemo Sham. So Sham means in the Beis Hamikdash. Over there in the Beis Hamikdash. Ma'al Beis Habechira, Afkan Beis Habechira. But that's talking about the Beis Hamikdash. So too, the pasuk that it says here to place my name, after my name, the designated name, the explicit name, is only the Beis Hamikdash. That's a drasha to say that the Shem HaMeforash is only the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Yosha says I don't need that pasuk to darshan about the Beis Hamikdash. There's another place, another drasha. Also, that's supposed to be highlighted. The pasuk seems to say in any place that I will mention my name or my name will be mentioned, I'm going to come to bless you. So you can't take it literally. Any place you could say Hashem's name. Rashi says the Gemara seems to be based on that someplace there's a pasuk that says that sometimes you talk about Hashem's name as it is, sometimes there's a chri, that it's not always mentioned the same. So since you see in that pasuk that Hashem's name cannot be mentioned in any place, so what does the pasuk mean to say? Any place where my name is mentioned, I'm going to come. So he says the other way. Ella, so the pasuk is backwards. Means you have to turn the pasuk backwards in order to understand it. Wherever I come to bless you, that's where you should mention my name. So not wherever my name is mentioned, I'm going to come, but wherever I come, my name should be mentioned. Where does Hashem come? Hashem comes to the Beis Hamikdash. That's the place that Ashuras Hashchina. So in the place where my name is, where I come, that's where my name should be mentioned. Since the place that Hashem comes to is that Beis Hamikdash, that's the place where it says that his name should be mentioned, but not in other places. So the Shem HaMeforash is only in the Beis Hamikdash. So again, everyone agrees to halacha. The only question was what the source is, machlokes, but everybody agrees to this halacha of Shem HaMeforash in the Beis Hamikdash. The other two was not. The other two that the Gemara spoke about, that it should be the Lashon HaKodesh and standing and the Siyas Kapayim. Over there it says always, but it was a difference. It says the Siyas Kapayim has to be higher in the Beis Hamikdash, but the first 3 halachas apply out of Beis Hamikdash also. The last halacha of Shem HaMeforash is only in the Beis Hamikdash. And now we go further on a second wide line.
So outside the Beis Hamikdash during that time, they also did.
They also did Birchas Kohanim. Also Birchas Kohanim, but it was different. Like the Mishnah says, 3 differences. One is about saying it as 3 units or one. One is Shem HaMeforash, and one is that they pick their hands in the Beis Hamikdash higher than some Kohanim. Just to point out, some Kohanim they don't raise their hands all the way high; they do it like low. So it's more. They're supposed to raise their hands till their shoulders. Could they do it higher if they want to? And the Mishnah says only the Beis Hamikdash. Second wide line. Tanya the Chosavach as Bnei Yisrael and Yel Bnei Yisrael. How do you know about Gerim, Nashim, V'Avodim Mishachorim? Who's included in the blessing? The pasuk says Bnei Yisrael. Bnei Yisrael might mean literally only the men, the Jewish men, and that means women not included, and the convert maybe is not included, and Eved Meshukra, also somebody who was a slave, Eved Kanani, and he was freed, who also has the same status as a ger, as a convert. How do you know that they're included? So usually we say that gerim also always included, but sometimes we had already that you need a special pasuk to include also the gerim. There's an extra pasuk that says you should bless them in the following way, saying to them. The word amor, just to point out that a grammar, that amor lahem doesn't mean say to them, but emor. We just said yesterday, Parshas emor. Emor with the segel means say to them. Amor with the commas doesn't mean say to them, it means saying to them. It's makor, it's like the word itself, it's not saying command.
Why is that correct? Saying to them, why would that be
Like
correct?
lamor lahem.
Say to them. No?
Not say to them. That's not the translation. If we say emor,
So is it more correct to say to them?
that would be a question. Why saying? You can say saying to them. Whenever we say lamor, it doesn't mean say, it means saying. So this is
So that means to pass down this message.
that's not the
no?
question. What that means is the following. Hashem said to Moshe, saying.
Why we want to say like that? Wouldn't it be so Hashem?
That's the way you say the following. Hashem said to Moshe the following. So in Hebrew, lamor means saying.
It's unnecessary to say.
Good.
No?
Could be said that way.
Yeah, but why would we want to say extra word?
Okay. There's room for drush. The pshat is okay.
Right.
So that was the source to say. What was this going? We just had a Amor Lahem. That was the answer. The drush to say that also women are included, converts are included, and the freed slave is included. Now the next halacha. New halacha comes about.
Why did the more Lahem bring in everybody?
That's a reboot. It's an extra word to tell you that it includes everybody. Lahem.
Oh, I see.
Well, everybody.
Just
Lahem means
everybody.
not the more as much as Lahem. Not only Bnei Yisrael, Lahem, everybody. More people than Bnei Yisrael, includes also the women and the converts. And now the next halacha. Tanya Idach, another brisa. Post of Baruch panim kineged panim. This I think people don't know, or they don't realize that it's supposed to be face to face. So those who gets the blessing, the ones that are facing the Kohanim are facing. So the Kohanim should face the people should face the Kohanim. Sometimes people are draying around, they're standing sideways, or maybe not talking, but maybe facing backwards. So they're not included in the bracha. The blessing is only somebody that you're facing. So the Kohanim face the people face the Kohanim.
Let's say it's a rectangle-based medrash.
So it could be they'll talk about it. The rectangle. They're never in front of the Kohen in Mamish, but that means in the audience.
Let's say the yak would be the Kohen. So would you say would be
because that's called the Kohen.
Again, let's say you're sitting like this, and Moshe sitting the way he's sitting.
So that's called maybe sideways, but the question will be that if you're on the side, the way I think the Mishnah comes out that the way a speaker will speak to an audience. So that's okay. He's in the front, and then everybody's
Everybody's looking at him.
looking at him. But they don't have to dafka face him mamish. That's also called towards the front. They do talk about if you're on the side, to be on the side to side, shoulder to shoulder, side by side. So then maybe you should turn towards the Kohen. People on the side. Sometimes.
Sometimes in the morning they go to the floor. And they're doing Birkas Kahanim by Rabbi Bramwine. So I'm way in front of the Kohen. So if I'm standing there and I'm answering, I'm not really.
Again, they're doing Birkas Kahanim in Bramwine.
So in Bramwine. So
But
they're facing, and I'm way in front of the. I'm walking into the churba. So I'm way in front of the Kohen.
You're in back of the Kohen. You're in back of the Kohen.
You're behind. You're
Right,
behind.
my back is.
You're behind.
So you don't get the Birkas.
I don't get it. Wasting my time like that.
No, it's to stand on the.
He's saying if you're standing over there in order to get a blessing, so you're not getting the
I'm
blessing.
wasting my time.
But there is some kind of onus.
Okay, then we'll get to the sugya, maybe. I think it'll be here. Maybe it's not here, then it'll be in Rosh Hashanah. That if you can't come in, then you're included in the bracha also. I'm Shabbos. The people that can't come in, they're busy working. So then the Kohanim
Okay,
are
I was
blessing
thinking like
everybody.
if there was a Torah where the Shliach Tzibor sometimes is behind the Kohen. Does he have to step back?
So any questions, we'll probably look in the halach afterwards. I'm not sure how much the Gemara is going to cover, but there are questions coming up. If the Shliach Tzibor, sometimes the Chazan is in front he's further towards the Mizrach than the Kohanim, so he's not including the blessing. So
I see the Rav from the Chorba, he always
He goes back.
He goes back.
Yeah,
He goes
backs
back.
up.
But the chazan can't, right? The chazan, no, the chazan's okay in the Chorban.
The chazan's okay.
But in Rabbi Brand one, he's not okay. The chazan is further. Maybe he's side by side, maybe he's equal on the same line. That might be okay also. Okay, if it doesn't come up in the Gemara, we'll see the short enough.
There could be somebody davening next to the Aron Kodesh by the door.
And then
They're
they're
behind
behind.
the Kohen.
So are they included or not? So if they could come, they stand in front and they don't come, they're not
Yeah, but
included.
they're in
If they're not
the
able to
Shemona
come,
Esrei,
that
they
might,
can't.
right. If someone's not able to come, that's, like Jacob mentioned that the Gemara says that people who can't come into the shul, even if they're out in the field and they can't come to the shul, so they're also including the blessing, the Kohen is blessing all Am Yisrael, those that are present, and whoever could not have come, if they could have come and chose not to come, they're not included. But if they cannot come, so they could be included even though they're not in the shul. So this Allah, there has to be panim keneged panim. And I think I see people in the shul that they're casual and they're leaning on the side of the bench, facing the sides,
Not facing the Kohen.
and he's not talking to you then. If the Rebbe would give you a bracha, you would face him.
But they're reading a smartphone, so then they're not looking face to face.
Even if they're reading a sefer. Even if they're looking into the
People turn around,
what?
rather than look at
You
the
said something.
Kohen, they turn around, they're back.
To the Kohen. That's terrible. They're surely not included.
Well,
And
their thought is that they shouldn't look at the name.
they shouldn't look, they turn around, they could turn around, they shouldn't look at the Kohen. No. They have to be, yeah, they have to be told that, yeah,
If
that's
they're
not
so
good.
worried, they should just cover themselves with the towels.
And if they look at the Kohanim also, and it's not terrible to look at the Kohanim either. Yeah, the Kohanim, really, the Kohanim here, they cover themselves. So there's no reason that the people have to not look. The people can look. There's no reason not to. But look at the towels. That's okay. It only places where the Kohanim used to not cover their hands. To them, the people cover themselves. But now that the Kohanim, and even that, the Torah says only because you should concentrate on the bracha. So not
you
to
grew up as a kid, they told you if you look, then you would become blind. If you do it, right?
Mhm.
So everybody always put their head down.
Mhm.
You never looked at the shalom.
But they're covered with towels anyway, and also that's only in the Beis Hamikdash where the Torah talks about the Shechina. But here it's not. In Choslar, it's not Choslar. So when there's no Beis Hamikdash, when you're not in the Beis Hamikdash, the Chordah doesn't apply. It's only in the Beis Hamikdash. So panim keneged panim. How do you know? Who says it has to be face to face? That's why. That's also the reason why the Kohanim turn around. Why do the Kohanim turn around? Why don't they face the Mizrach? Because they're facing the people. Panim keneged panim. How do you know? Maybe face to neck, that you're even if you're towards the back of their head. Saying to them, and saying to them means the way you talk usually. It's a regular way of talking. So the way you talk to somebody, maybe it's also to learn from the example. It's a given that when you talk to somebody, you're looking at them. So that's the drasha. The same way you talk to somebody. How do you talk to somebody? Face to face. So the Birchas Kohanim also should be face to face.
Not anyway, everybody's texting. Nobody talks to each other.
They don't even talk to each other. The mashal is losing.
It's losing, yeah.
The givens are not givens anymore. The next halacha, kosev archu b'kol ram. They're supposed to be loud. That the Kohanim are supposed to say the bracha loud. They shouldn't whisper it. They should say it loud enough. How loud? Sometimes you're Kohanim very loud. They want to have to do it loud.
Yeah.
So let's see. She could even whisper. The way you talk to somebody, how do you talk? They should hear you. So how loud does it have to be? Loud enough they should hear you. There's no reason that the Kohanim should be screaming. They want to do kol ram. The kol ram means that they should be heard. They shouldn't be in a whisper. So again, it's the same drasha again. Amar lahem. That's
Cohen
good.
has a loud voice, so that's. He always talks loud.
The way that he was talking, no, if you want somebody to hear him. It's true. It's a big tzibur, so he has to hear. He's talking to the person at the end of the tzibur. But it doesn't have to be. If they talk loud, but not because it is. It's not because this is not a reason that it should be dafka loud. Okay, the next halacha.
But Merenzel says because of Kol Ram, that's why we're not going one going to be mostly the other.
That's a huge chiddush, probably.
And what?
That
Kol
They're
Ram.
mostly one another.
it's a chiddush. It's a chiddush both ways. That the Kohanim say it all together in unison. Usually, we say you can't hear two people at the same time. How do they do it? So there's a problem. The other way of Merenzel says. So why should you have one Kohen that says it, and it's mostly all the other Kohanim? You could have that. All the CS kapayim. Everyone raises their hands. They go up to the duchen, turn around, put the towels, whatever they do. But one person should be mostly them. So if Merenzel says that You have to do it loud, and loud you can't do. You can't be mostly loudness. That's a chiddush, like the brisker chiddush. Then,
You should, what does it mean? You should
I
do
can
it
be
loud?
mostly you with the words, but I can't be mostly you the loudness. It's a lamdish.
No, I think because everybody has the dinner, Kol Ram, and that's.
Kol Ram means that the people should hear it. So every time, so it's only like I said it, but not that I said it loud. It's a huge chiddush. It's like a lamdish chiddush that in the brisk world, but it doesn't sound like the pshat.
It's not that should be the brachas came.
And what does it mean? You're supposed to say. So you're saying. You always were saying.
It's
The
always saying,
daven is also. Each
no?
person is supposed to daven also. That's called that you're davening. When someone represents you, that's called that you're talking. So that's maybe a kasha. I had a pshat that they used to do. One person used to say it says that the person who gets maftir, he davens, right? He's the one who davens, and he's one of those brechas kohanim. What does mean those brechas? Ever those brechas kohanim? It's a kohen, you do brechas kohanim. I thought that's the pshat. That one person would used to be mostly everybody else, but I'm not sure.
What is the first blessing you can say facing your?
What was the first
When they go up on the
dukhan, on the platform?
they face the ark
Yes.
in the first blessing.
No.
What is that?
No. They have no.
They're blessed.
Oh, they're blessed.
They're blessed.
There's another point. Besides brechas, there's a mitzvah brechas kohanim. It starts yivarechecha. That's where the blessing starts. But they're doing a mitzvah, and every mitzvah is supposed to say a blessing to Hashem. Like every mitzvah, before you wash, before you put on tefillin, every time you always say bracha to Hashem. So the kohanim say a bracha Hashem k'tishanu b'k'tishashu shalaru v'tzivanu l'varech Hashem Yisrael b'yahava. Really, they can say it quietly, because anytime someone says a bracha, you say a bracha that everybody should say it out loud. You say it out loud, everybody should hear. The whole shul should hear. So really, they can say it quietly. Nobody hears their bracha, but the custom became that they say it out loud, and everyone says amen. The chazan surely is not allowed to say amen on that bracha. It's their private bracha, nothing to do with the tzibur. So that's a private bracha. They happen to say it out loud. I don't know why, and everyone says amen. And then they turn around.
If they didn't say it out loud, then maybe whoever's gonna prompt them
Doesn't know
that the bracha is
when.
over.
Okay. Could be other reasons also. I don't know. And then
No, anyhow, the tzibah has nothing to do with it.
Nothing,
They
yeah.
can't take it, none better, they can't learn now, it's no chazar shot. They can't talk.
So
You might
might
as
as well-
We'll see, I'm ready to a bracha.
No?
could be. I think in the Gemara's times they didn't. We'll see later on in the sugi. I think the Gemara's times they didn't say it out loud. It just talks about
They
the
should say it while the chazan is saying sim shalom, and as soon as chazan finishes sim shalom, they finish the bracha.
No, I touched it on that day. But the problem is they have to hear chazar shot. And after me would be, if it's a kind that already heard chazar shots, then he should do Nav Nissan's idea.
The Maisa Kohanim today, they say Yehirotzen, and so they do.
Oh, they are saying something during the.
Yeah.
It's anyway they're talking during the Chazar Sashats. Okay.
They were saying Yehirotzen, they
So-
can say the bracha.
So we call wrong. So right. So before that, that's the blessing on the run. That's the private blessing on the mitzvah that they're going to do. Next halacha. So we finished the brisa. All that was a brisa. We had just to go over. What do we have over here? One was B'Lashon HaKodesh, and then they should be standing. They should raise their hands. They say with Shem, in the base mikdash with Shem HaMafarash, and the blessing includes even women and converts, and face to face, and loud that they should be heard. Amar Abaye, now the Gemara starts. More Allah has about Birchas Kohanim. Amar Abaye, Nektinan, Shnayim, L'Shnayim Korei Kohanim, Olechad Ene Korei Kohen, that you invite somebody invites the Kohanim or tells them that they should say Birchas, they should do the bracha. And the Gemara is going to say Drasha because it says Amar Lahem. The Gemara is going to dash that means tell the Kohanim that they should bless. That's a drash, it's not a Fashiv Shan. So in the drash it says tell them. So you call them, you say Kohanim, which is inviting them, telling them that they should bless. But that's only if there are two, because it says Lahem, L'Shnayim Korei Kohanim, L'Echad Ene Korei Kohen. To two people you call out Kohanim, that they should say the blessing. That's inviting them to say the blessing. But to one person you might think also that you do, and call out Kohen. No, you don't. Shenamar Amar Lahem. L'Shnayim, the Apostle only talks about saying to them, only them, doesn't say him. So the two you call out, so that's a new halacha. Also we could the Shnayim Korei Kohanim. The two people you call out to them that they should say. It doesn't say who calls out. Somebody calls out Kohanim. We invite them to say Birchas Kohanim. Rav Chisda. Naktina, Kohanim, then Yisrael Kohanim. According to Rav Chisda, only a Kohen should be the one who calls out Kohanim.
Again, he also has to do, he's calling himself also.
So it isn't so simple. If he's a shliach, Rashi has no cases talking about if he's a shliach tzibur. Interesting that the shliach tzibur is the one who's calling out. We don't do that usually, right? Someone else calls out Kohanim. But Rashi says, shliach tzibur Kohenu, Korei umazir eschaveh avamdum lefanav la'aseh p'neim u'levar ches Yisrael. If Yisraelu ain't a Korei Kohanim. Rashi says if the Kohen is a shliach tzibur, he says Kohanim, and does he do it himself? There's another mission that says that the Kohen doesn't do kirachas Kohanim if he's a Kohen. Only if the question if he's the only one and if he's not going to make a mistake. But Rashi is going that Rashi doesn't say if he's going to be saying birchas Kohanim or not. But Rashi says if he's a shliach tzibur, he calls out Kohanim, and if he's Yisrael, he doesn't. Dafka Kohen, mamish, the opposite of what we would have thought. And the Gemara continues, you don't pass like that.
But that, so Rashi's explaining Rav Hista?
Yes. That Dafka Kohen calls out Kohanim, but Yisrael is not called out Kohanim. Shenema amor lahem. I don't get the drasha. Amira mishal lahem. I don't get the drasha. But I don't get what they see in what the nuance is. But Dafka, somebody of theirs, somebody of the Kohanim.
We were always saying Amor Lahem to expand, and now it seems like to contract.
Oh right, only if he's part of them.
Yeah.
Only if he's part of. I don't see Rashi. Okay, I don't get the nuance of the drasha. Mishal lahem tei Dafka from theirs. Right, the Gemara ends off. He does have two halachas, one from Abai, from Rav Chisda. Abai, we do agree to that only to two do you say Kohanim, to one you don't say Kohen. And who says it? Not like Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda said Dafka a Kohen, not a Yisrael. We don't pass like that. Yisrael also could be the one to call out Kohanim. Next Gemara, and it gives you a simon here to know the names of the following sugyas. And we'll just start. Most of them are all of them are Bishul ben Levi. The Gemara starts. Some are Bishul ben Levi. Minayin like Shakadosh Baruch Hu misave the birchas Kohanim. How do you know that Hashem desires? Hashem craves birchas Kohanim. Hashem wants birchas Kohanim.
I'm sorry. The sentence starts with a man, and you go Shua ben Levi. I don't see a name of man.
I'm not sure what you're looking for.
The simon.
Here's the word misave. Here it is. The simon is misave. Here it is.
Isn't mem part of the simon?
No, it's the whole word. Misave lebrocha duchan bavoda kos makir nene bagal. That's the simon.
Oh.
It's a mnemonic, not a Rosh Tevis. This Rosh Tevis is not a Rosh Tevis. It's just saying quotations. That's the way they write quotations in the olden days.
I see.
Each word gets a quotation, but it means this is the formula. Misava lebrocha.
So Rabbi Shimon ben Levi that said Misava.
The way you remember, Misava, he wants a brocha. Misava lebrocha duchan bavoda, a platform for avoda. Kos makir nene bagal. It's just a mnemonic that doesn't make any sense. Just to
What's Misava mean?
Misava desire. Desire, like taiva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Misava lebrichas Kohanim. Hashem desires brichas Kohanim. Shenema, but some Shmiel b'nei Yisrael b'nei Avrohom. What do you see from that? So Rashi says that Hashem is stressing the point that my name should be placed on b'nei Yisrael, as if Hashem wants his name to be placed on b'nei Yisrael. He's interested. It doesn't focus on b'nei Yisrael should be blessed as much as that means for their good. Hashem wants b'nei Yisrael should be blessed. Hashem wants his name to be on b'nei Yisrael. So as if Hashem desires it, like personal interest. That Hashem wants, so to speak, that Hashem, that's what Hashem's desire is, that his name should be on Bnei Yisrael. Of course, that they know they should be blessed, but Hashem desires it. Hashem wants that they should be blessed. And the way that Hashem expressed it is that it's from, that's what I want. Hashem wants his name to be on Bnei Yisrael. The next point of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Kol Kohen Shemavorech Mizborech, V'she'eno Mevorech Eno Mizborech. The Kohen gets a blessing. The Kohen gets a blessing. The Birchas Kohanim is the Kohen's blessing the Israelim. But here it says that the Kohen himself is blessed. The truth is a machlokes, Rashi brings down, and what does it mean, B'ani Avrohom? I will bless them. Some will Shmiel b'nei Yisrael, B'ani Avrohom. So some say that it means I will bless the Kohanim.
Right.
Some say that it means I will bless the Jews. That you place my name, you bless them, I'll bless them. So this Gemara is going that
Kohanim.
no, the opposite. It's going to say this. The halach is yes, by a different source. If you say that B'ani Avrohom is going the Kohanim, so it says right here that the Kohen who blesses is going to be blessed. But here, Rabbi Shua ben Levi had a different source. A Kohen who's blessed is going to get blessed. If he doesn't bless, he's not going to get blessed. How do you know? Those who bless you, I will bless. So he didn't see it in the pasuk. Rashi says he holds that B'ani Avrohom means I'm going to bless the Jews. But how do you know that the Kohanim get blessed? Because anybody that blesses the Jews is going to get blessed.
Yeah. It's a svara.
No, it's a pasuk.
What does that mean? I will
Those
bless-
who, I will bless those who bless you.
No, but,
I will
but you
bless
can't
those
tell.
who bless you.
I'm not
You
following.
can't tell who it's talking about.
Those
You're
who
the
bless
Kohen or
you.
you're the Israel.
Here he's
No,
talking about the
you-
Kohen.
Avrohom Avrochecha. This is a pasuk that Hashem told Avram.
Oh, yeah.
Those who bless you, I will bless.
Oh.
So anybody that blesses a Jew is going to be blessed.
You could answer that's only for non-Jew.
It doesn't say that. It says Avrohom Avrochecha.
Oh, it's
I
it's
will
talking
bless
about the
those who-
Kohen. That here it means a Kohen who's blessing the people.
Right. It
So
seems
Hashem
according-
bless them.
because it says that whoever blesses the Jews is going to get blessed.
I see. Uh-huh.
But Rabbi Shimon Levi, Kol kon she'ein ha'olam l'duchan over b'shlosha asay. B'shlosha asay. Any Kohen that doesn't say Birchas Kohanim, he's a Kohen, and he doesn't take the opportunity to bless when he's called upon, he transgresses 3 positive commandments. Goes to Vorku, Amor Lahem, the Samu Hashemi. It says 3 times to do Birchas Kohanim. So should you bless, saying to them, and they should place my name. So these are 3 positive commandments. If a Kohen doesn't, so he transgresses these 3 positive commandments. Just to point out, it says the word duchen over here. A duchen is a platform. And in the shul, there's a platform. So they go up to a platform. Many shuls today don't have a platform. But that's what the word means. Duchen means a platform. In the Beis HaMikdash, there was a duchen. It wasn't for the Kohen, it was for the Leviim. The Leviim stood on the platform in order to sing. So the duchen in the Beis HaMikdash was not designated for the Kohen.
Excuse me, Leduchan is not a verb. It's to the platform.
To the platform, right.
Mhm, okay.
A Kohen that doesn't go up to the platform, which means that to do Birchas Kohanim, interesting why the Rabbi Shimon Levi chose that term. He should have said Kohen She'eino Mavorech. Why does it have to do all the Duchan? But that's what it says. And the three averos that he did by not blessing the people. Akava just says the word Duchan over here.
Many times the Kohen will leave the synagogue.
Why does he leave?
Because
No, maybe because
I've
there's a
seen
move.
it, they don't feel they deserve to.
No, maybe he has a mum and he's not supposed to go up if he has a mum.
So perhaps, but so they'll leave the synagogue.
Okay.
They'll leave the.
They say that the only transgressors if they're told, come on in, if they're invited to do the blessing and they don't, so then they transgress, but he should definitely stay if he has no. And it's not his, he shouldn't say, I'm not worthy of giving you a blessing. You're a Kohen. If you're a Kohen, so Hashem is going to bless the people. Hashem says,
Okay. Limit chus for Mishon. It's too tight to clap up his hands. To stand or whatever.
you should go like this.
I thought it meant they had a mum. They had some kind of.
They had a mum that's going to bother him.
Another thing, if he comes in the shul after Modim. And
It's
he's
probably
supposed to. There's a problem.
Yeah, we're doing that. That's
What, in the basement, there was a platform,
yes.
a special platform, or they were
No.
just on a step?
They
Higher?
went up, the Kohen
Yeah,
went up the 12 steps to the. Close into the building itself, they were the chutzner.
chutzner.
They went up
What?
to the right, and they went up the 12 steps. That's what the mission
But
says
there
in
were
Talmud for the
15
five Kohanim.
there were
did
15
Avrohom.
steps.
15, I thought. No, you're talking about you're in there as already. You go past the Mizbeach.
To go up to the Heichal.
Right. So they go to the top to the Ulam before the Heichal, and that's where they do Birchas Kohanim. Over there it says at least like 5 of them. The ones who did Avodah of that day, maybe the other Kohanim stay on the bottom, but there was no Duchan that was for the Kohanim. The Duchan, that's official Duchan, that was a Duchan to the Levim. Between the Ezra's Yisrael and the Ezra's Kohanim, there were 3 steps. And the Duchan, that's where the Levim used to say Shira over there. The term, yes,
I thought they were standing on the steps, the Levim.
you're talking about someone's Beis HaShoeva, the outside, they're not the Beis
Oh,
HaMikdash.
no,
The
I thought
outside
that was
Beis
Shir
HaMikdash.
Shalom.
No, Shir Shalom is inside the Beis HaMikdash, in the Chatzah. You are in the Chatzah, Ezra's Nashim, but still is Beis HaShoeva. That's the word Duchanim. Everyone's doing Duchan. What's
Yeah,
Duchanim?
Duchanan, they use it as a verb.
What's
That's
Duchanim? They
what-
made a verb. What's Duchanim?
That's Duchan.
Yeah, they're going on a platform, but it's Duchanim, but there's no such thing.
Okay, so here, can you just point to it here for us? We're
which
talking
thing?
about here,
Which thing do you want to know?
where the Kohanim were giving the bracha,
Up these steps. On top.
on top of those
On
steps.
top of those steps.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say about all the Kohanim. The Mishnah Talmud says about the 5 Kohanim that did the Tisha Mizbeach and
When they go
particular
to
ones.
the
What are the other
okay.
Kohanim? I don't know. Bamei B'Shul Levi, Kol Kohen she'eino ola ba'avoda. Shuv eino ola. If a Kohen didn't get up to the duchan by the time that they were still saying avoda, which is the bracha before, would say, which ends off as Achzan Baruch Ata Hashem Machzeh Shechina Sol L'Tzion, or it used to be Shalosh Chalavat Chavir Navod in the base of Mikdash. So then he can't go up anymore. He has to be on the duchan while they're still doing avoda. Avoda is the bracha before. He can't come after a Machzeh Shechina Sol L'Tzion. He has to be on the duchan during avoda. Then goes modim till you get to do Birchas Kohanim. There's still time. There's another bracha, but you have to be there on the duchan before they finish avoda. Rashi says, "Shenema v'yisam l'shadav alam ba'Avrohom v'yered me'asos hachatos v'olav v'ashlamim." It says, and Aaron blessed the people. He raised his hands to bless the people, and then he went down from doing the korbanos. That means that he did the Birchas Kohanim before he finished going down. He didn't go down yet. He came up to do the korbanos, and before he went down from doing the korbanos, he did Birchas Kohanim. So you see, just like over there, the Birchas Kohanim was before he finished avoda. He didn't go down from doing the Chatas Ola Shlamim. So too always just has to be that way, that Birchas Kohanim should be, not the actual Birchas Kohanim is going to be later, after Tov Shem Chol Chana Lahodos, after that bracha. But you have to at least be on the Duchan before avoda is finished. The Master Kasha, and if he missed it, he can't go up. He has to be there on the Duchan before they finish with say.
So that's one of the that's one of the examples of somebody should leave. If it's a Kohen and he came in late.
I don't know if he has to leave, then he just doesn't go up. I don't know why.
No,
Because he,
Right, they might think he's a pursuit.
they might think it's the suit.
okay, maybe, okay, I hear.
Or
Any Rabbi Rabasi
maybe
Salki,
pure.
the Kashi is Rabbi Rabasi did go up, even though they didn't go up. They were Kohanim, and
It sounds like they did go up, right?
they did. That's the Kasha, that they did go up. You said you're not allowed to go up if you didn't go up during
Oh,
Avoda.
after,
and they would.
after it's.
They would go up even
After
though,
Avoda.
and they didn't go up right after Avoda. Then they went up. The answer is Rabbi Rabasi may call Rabbi Akri Karayu. They used to uproot their feet. They moved a little bit. They moved a little bit during Avoda, even though they didn't get up. They moved them. They moved their feet. They took a step towards. But they didn't get there till they started walking. They started, but they didn't get there until after Avoda. But as long as they started going, here it says they don't have to be there already. They have to on the Duchan. At first, the Gemara thought it means they have to be on the Duchan before Avoda is over. Now it says they have to at least start. They have to at least start before Avoda is over. Roshai says over such a brisa. There's only a problem that if they missed the whole avoda, they didn't even start moving. If he started moving during avoda, that's good enough. Another proof. Your Mishnah says, the chazan is the chazan allowed. The chazan is a kohen. Is he allowed to do brechas kohanim? So it says if he's sure he's not going to make a mistake, that he's going to be able to do the siyas kapayim and then be able to continue chazaros hashatz, then he's allowed to do brechas kohanim. And the kash is he didn't go any place. He didn't go. He doesn't go up to the duchan until afterwards. It's very interesting nowadays what people do. If the kohen to chazan, he doesn't go to the place where the kohanim are. He just stays in his place. He just turns around. So the jumping is ridiculous. There's no reason. It's not much ridiculous to jump. What's he jumping for? Because
I mean, it's the quickest way to do the turn.
no,
It's
it's not the quickest way. You turn around like any
He
normal
thinks he's keeping his feet together.
You think you have to keep the feet together, and you can't under no circumstances to separate the feet. That's ridiculous. If you have to turn around, you turn around. They don't jump around. They turn around, normal, turn around. I know we ever once someone has a carpet under him, and they used to give us, like that the carpet should also turn. This is ridiculous. They can't move the feet. Of course they can move the feet apart. If I'm saying too strong, I take it back, but this doesn't make any sense to jump, turn around, jump. But there's no reason. Turn around.
I've said it once. When he wasn't a Kohen, he was jumping back because he wanted to be in front of the Kohanim.
Also, there's no such thing. If you're not allowed to move, you move. If you're not allowed to move, you're not allowed to move. This is what the kids, the Masagam of the kids. They told him in the first grade, you have to keep your feet together. So like it became like, but there's no such thing. If you're not allowed to move, you're not allowed to move. If you're allowed to move, you're allowed to move. So the Kohen used to go up to the Duchan. The Chazan used to go up to the Duchan. In the Shulchan Aruch, he walks up. Like in the Chorba, he would. At one point, while he's no.
After he
finished and then he would go up. So the question is, they ask what the Gemara says, but Shliach Tzibur, but he didn't move in Avoda. if anything, he's going to move after when it's time to do. He's last continue molding. He's still saying molding.
Right, so it's
the-
after.
so he never moved during Ritzei. He didn't move. He didn't go up. Ella did not point. Hanami daga point. He has to move a little bit. The Shliach Tzibor has to move a little bit during Ritzei. So you see, it's enough.
I'm a little confused. I mean, he is the avoda. He is the davener. So he's
but he
talking
wants to do Berachas
he's
Kohanim.
there.
He wants to do Berachas
Oh,
Kohanim.
you want to say it has to be a siman?
He has to be on the. We thought it means he has to be on the duchen during avoda. He's not on the duchen during avoda. He's not where the kohanim are going to be. He didn't go any place. He's there. So the Gemara says he also has to somehow start. So how does he start? He has to move a little bit. He has to move a little bit
Just before?
during Ritzei. Before Ritzei is over, he has to move as if he's going towards the duchen. And then later on,
He would do that,
He'll do what?
the Shliach Tzibor,
Would do that.
he would move a little.
He'd move a little bit. I think that the point is going to be to move in order to later on move more. In
Yeah,
the olden times, the Shliach Tzibor would take steps. He would walk up to the duchen after he finished the Toshim Chalachan and Hodas, but he has to have been moved already during
that's what
during
we're
the
saying here.
six.
So
That's
you
what it
moved
says.
a
Must,
little.
must be, he has to move a little bit.
Okay,
So that's good enough also. Should we continue or it's too late already?
Come on, no?
maybe one more. That should have been like.
Who else is on, is just waiting for the next change?
What?
He's waiting for the next change.
Just, yeah, let's just go. Should we continue?
No one else.
Okay.
Ruben is happy to learn anything he can.
So till now we spoke about Birchas Kohanim. Everything was Rabbi Shubal Levi about Birchas Kohanim. Now we get a little bonus, also Rabbi Shubal Levi, but it's not about Birchas Kohanim. Rabbi Shubal Levi.
Birchas Kohanim, now we finished Birchas Kohanim.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to it again, but now we're taking a bonus, a cruise. Hey, knows the kosher bracha levorech ela letov ayin. Who's the one that you honor with the kosher bracha? It says a tov ayin. Somebody that has a good eye, a generous person. He's the one who gets the kosher bracha to say to be most everybody. So I think that more is talking about a case. The Pashup Shat talking about a case when he's not the balabayis. If he's balabayis, then of course he has the right to give it to whoever he wants to. Take it himself, give it to somebody else. But if there's a group of people that are ate together, now the question is who should be the one to be honored to be the Mavarich. The one who's a Tobayin, the person who's a generous person, he gives tzedakah, the big tzedakah man. If he's a person who does a lot of chesed with his money, the Tobayin, so he's the one who should bless. Shenema.
Couldn't Tobayin also mean he wishes well for everyone?
So the Gemara means the pasuk. It could be right, but the Gemara means the pasuk. Shenema Tobayin hu yivorach ki nosem ilach molado. The pasuk is the pasuk. The pasuk says that the good eye should be blessed because he gave of his food to the poor. But with Zedrash, until Yavorach, he should not read literally he should be blessed. He should bless. So here it says Kinas Malach Moladol. It does say in the pasuk that a person who's giving, he's called a Tovayin. So Yaakov saying Tovayin literally means he has a good eye. He's happy people have good. But he has a little bit more much, but he has to actually give also. So a person who's a generous person and he gives, he should be the one chosen to bless. It says in
this is just blessings b'chlal.
This is blessing in kosher bracha. You see the emphasis. Einos in kosher bracha levarach el tovayin. And it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch by Pesach that the Balabais says kol dirch v'yesei v'yechel. He's a tovayin. He's invited everybody. At least he said it. So he's the one who should bless. He's the one who should bless. But there's not only Pesach. The Chorus always that whenever you have a choice of giving it to somebody, he should be the one who's chosen. If they're a big philanthropist, a big balstaka, he should be the one giving the kosher bracha.
Because he's the host, he's giving the meal.
So that yes, that's good. That's good. That he's given it to the people who are present at the table. It's his money, so he gave it. So that's not only Pesach, then it's going to be the whole year round. But it does usually a reich mevarech. Usually you give it to the guest in order to bless the balabais. But here it says that, so I think he's talking about that balabais. There are people gathered and someone's going to bench. Who do you give it to? The one who's the giver of bread to the poor. Also Sarasain. It comes in the parentheses here about Sarasain. Even the birds know who's a stingy person. Before we spoke about a Tobayin, that he's a giver, he's a generous person, but the Tzarain, the person who doesn't want to give, even the birds recognize him. It's a drash in the pasuk. Shenema kichina mazora areshas beinei kol balkana. Pasuk in Mishlei. Pasuk is that the birds don't realize that the bait inside the net is for a purpose. They don't realize things for nothing. But the more dashing that the balkana of the birds, they won't take the food of the net of a tsar ayin. If they see that, if they know the person who put the food over there is a stingy person, they won't take his bread. They won't take his bread either. Of course, it's a drash, but that's how he's reading into the pasuk. Even the birds recognize the stinginess.
What's the translation of the pasuk?
For nothing is the net spread out.
What's
And-
the Zora?
The Zorah spread out.
Oh, spread out the Zora.
In the eyes of the birds.
Spread out.
And what's the concept of it? This is
Over there, it's
Mishlei.
talking about that people don't realize that the trap. It's talking about even znus. I think a person doesn't realize that the woman's trying to lure him in.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. Maybe or maybe not. Maybe it's talking about stam people that are ganovim. They don't realize their consequences for their bad deeds. They think that bait is for nothing. The bait is going to catch them. So watch out for traps.
And the drush here is that even
I
a bird
I
would
take it
not.
back. Right? It's not talking about znus. Rashi means in the pasuk. Nerval the dung, kolon yokodim. So they want to kill. They want to steal. They don't realize that the net is out for them to catch them. Lashon yizor on the very go frisk. Kach dakom shel sayodim lizros to scatter. Pitim v'sorim berishtam. They scatter out food into their net in order that the birds should come. And the tzarayayin, they lose the food that is shizorim berishtam. Ve'enei kol balkanov. Sha'af hein makirin behen. I don't get how Rashi puts it into the pasuk exactly, but it says that the birds are also not going to take out the bait that's put into the nest. They realize that the person is stingy. More about Sarayayin. Another point about Sarayayin, called an enemy Sarayayin, over the love. Anybody that does benefit from a stingy person transgresses a love. Don't take from a stingy person. If he doesn't want to give, don't take. Don't take the bread of a Ra'ayin. If he's a tzarayin, he's not happy to give, don't take from him. I think Rashi says maybe Pshat, that Shor B'Nafsho, that he's constantly looking how much did he take, how much did he take. He tells you to take, it doesn't mean it. He's really stingy. And he's always looking, how much did he take, how much did he take. Achol v'shaso yom alach, but he doesn't want. He says eat and drink, but he doesn't really mean it. So don't take it. Because it says, Al tilcham, don't take the bread. Rabbi Yachman Yitzchak Omar also over Basay, not Mishnei. I'm sorry, over Mishnei Lavin. Not only does he transgress one, he transgresses two. Like it says, Al Tilcham Al Tisav. Don't. That's the end of the pasuk. Al Tisav Lamatam Osov. Don't desire his delicacy. So that's the end of that bonus. It continues with more, but today that's the end about the Tzarayin. Then the more continues tomorrow about Egla Rufa. And as far as the simon, the beginning of today's Gemara on top. We did Mesave, Lebrocha, Duchan, Bavoda, Tos, Makia, Nene. And we still have to put up Bagala. That's for tomorrow.
What's the Makir there?
It's a mnemonic to remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Gemaras coming up in the name of Rabbi Shubal Levi. So in order to remember them by heart, when you're going in the street, to remember 8 members of Rabbi Shubal Levi, just remember the mnemonic, Mesave, Lebrocha, Duchan, Bavoda, Tos, Makia, Nene, Bagala. If has a simon, you'll have all 8 Gemaras.
Bagala is Kaddish.
No, Egla Rufa.
Masava and Lebracha goes together. They're each one.
You can do it, whatever you want to do, you can do it. It's a mnemonic, so whatever way you remember better.
What's the subject of Matava?
Kos, Makir, Nene.
We could look through what we just learned.
Some of your kids, each one more kid there.
Mesave, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mesave Lebrichas Kohanim.
Oh, yeah.
Kol Kohen Shemuvarich Mizborich. A Kohen that doesn't go up to the Duchan, he transgresses 3 Averos. A Kohen, I missed the parentheses, I'm sorry, if everybody can come back for a second. I made a parentheses and I didn't read it. If a Kohen doesn't go to Brichas Kohanim, besides transgressing the Averos, he also is suspect that maybe he's not a kosher Kohen. Why didn't he go up? Maybe he's a Chalal. He's ben Gusha ben Chalutza, that his father was a Kohen, married a Gusha ben Chalutza, and he's going to be a Chalal. So it's a serious thing that people are going to suspect him. it's not a machlokes. If he goes up once in a while, so people know that he's a Kohen. He goes up once in a while. But if he doesn't go at all, then they're going to be choshes that he's not a kosher Kohen. But in any case, he's over b'shlosha asay.
But that wasn't a simon, was it?
No, the simon was for the duchan.
For the duchen, I see, and then if he doesn't go up, it's a side point.
And duchan ba'avod, if he doesn't go up, it's not the side point, but that's if he doesn't go up at all, that's the side point.
Yeah.
And then ba'avod, that means that if he doesn't go during, would say he shouldn't go up anymore. And kosher bracha is only for the tobayim. And the birds also recognize makirin, and somebody's nana is over balav. What's that? Does it say that? What's the simon over there? Makir. Nana. What's nana going on? Oh, nana mitzarayan. Okay, the word is going to be nana.
Makir had to do with the birds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the makirin. And the nana is this one, that if he's nana mitzarayan over balav, one or two.
Is what calling that up? It's
From our sarayan. If you do take food from the stingy person, so it's a transgression, 1 or 2 lavin.
mhm,
And Agala, Egla roof is going to be tomorrow. Egla. I said
Right.
Agala,
Why
Egla.
is it a transgression? Take it from
Because the person says, don't take from him if he doesn't want to give. Don't take from him if he doesn't want to give.
What's actually allowed in the Torah?
It says lav in Mishlei.
According to
Amida category,
What?
bargaining.
Bargaining?
Sale,
bargain.
What's the problem?
trying to get the price lower and.
But everybody
That's
does
not
that.
so.
Everybody does that. It says it's even if they make a shvua, they don't mean it. Everybody
No,
knows it.
maybe he
Don't.
means when he doesn't really, when he really doesn't want. You need to say the some part
If he doesn't want
that's
to give
made up, that it's made, that you know that they both want to sell, just the person.
That's what all negotiations are. That
So
everyone knows that.
sometimes you're really pulling Jim, you just don't have cash to argue, so you.
So he doesn't have to sell. He doesn't have to buy. I think.
Not a Torah sign.